In this video, I want to talk to you about repetitions and alterations. Okay, so if you look at any of the videos I've done where I lay out the formula for either the major key or the minor key melodies, you'll see that in bars 5 and 6, so right here, bar 5 and bar 6, and in bars 13 and bar 14, what you're meant to do is you're meant to develop bars 1 and 2. So you've been given bars 1 and 2, that's bar 1 here and bar 2 here, and you're meant to develop those. And the way you do that, the way you develop something in music, is you repeat it, but you alter it slightly. You alter it in some way. And the whole idea is that you're changing it enough to keep it interesting, but without altering it in any fundamental way. You're not completely changing the underlying chords, you're not changing key, you're not changing time signature, you're not doing anything outlandish. You're just taking the same idea and you're repeating it in enough of a way to keep it interesting without changing it fundamentally. And that's what we have to do in these bars. So in bars 5 and 6 and in bars 13 and 14, you're repeating the ideas that you've been given in bars 1 and 2, but you're altering them in some way just enough to keep them interesting. A lot of students worry that they shouldn't repeat an idea, they shouldn't repeat anything exactly. That's completely true. That's completely untrue. I mean, you absolutely should. You should always repeat ideas. Music is built on repetition. We hear an idea, that idea is established, and when we hear it repeating, that's when the idea takes on meaning, when it becomes a theme for a tune or a really, really fundamental part to a piece of music. If you don't repeat it, it has no meaning. Repetition is a fundamental part of music, and developing those ideas that you're repeating, is just as important. So let's have a quick look at this. Right. So how are we going to develop bars 1 and 2? Well, there are a couple of key ways that I want to show you how to develop bars 1 and 2. One of the first ways you can develop them is by melodic addition, we'll call it. Okay. So I'm just going to put down number 1 is addition. And what addition is, right? Anywhere that you see space between two notes, that the original melody, the melody you're given at the top here, anywhere that's got a leap, you can add notes in between that leap to take up the space. So for example, in the original they've got B leaping up to C at the beginning of bar 1. Sorry, B leaping up to E, I mean, at the beginning of bar 1. You can have addition at that point. If you fill in the gaps between B and E, you'll have to change the rhythm. You'll have to change the rhythm of that first note. That can't be a crotchet anymore if you want to fit in 2 more notes between that and the following note. So you're going to have to change the rhythm slightly and then add in the notes C and D. Sorry, these are flats, so it's B flat and E flat rather. And you're going to add in the notes C and D in between those. So as you can see, I've actually done that already in bar 5. Okay, I've done some addition. So I've changed the rhythm. It's no longer a crotchet, it's now a quaver and 2 semiquavers, and they lead up. I filled in that gap between the B flat and the E flat leading up here. So that's addition, that's what it is, and that's one way you can do it. You'll often see opportunities to do that. You'll see instances where the original melody, they've got a big leap like this, and one way of varying that melody, of altering that melody, is to just fill in those gaps by changing the rhythm. Okay, so that's addition. Another way that you can develop your melody or alter your melody is the opposite of that, subtraction. So subtraction. Subtraction is basically the opposite. In places that you can see they've put in, the original composer in the melody you've given has put in notes that don't need to be there, you can kind of take those notes out on your alteration. So for example, if you look at this part here, they've repeated this A note. They've got B flat A and A again. So one way for you to alter that would be, instead of having these 2 quavers here, you can just do what I've done. You turn that first quaver, you turn those 2 quavers into one crotchet, and now you've just got B flat A instead of B flat A twice. That's just one way to do it. You can subtract one of the notes that, not that it's unnecessary, but that you can take it away, and then just replace it with a note of a longer value rhythmically to fill in. So those are 2 good ways to alter your melody. Another really good way you can alter the melody is to just change the order of the notes. It's a really simple thing to do. So I'll write down number 3, change order. Change order. And you can see that I've done that here. So in the original melody, they've given B flat to G at the end of this bar. And right down here, I've just done the opposite. I've gone G to B flat instead. So you just swap those notes around. At times you got like this, where you've got, like, say, 2 quavers, B flat to a G. You can just swap them around and have G to B flat. Really simple way of altering the melody without changing it too much. Another good way to alter the melody is you can change the octave of one of the notes. So change octave. Let's put that in. So this works particularly well in a place that you've got a big leap. If you've got stepwise movement, then by changing the octave, you're instantly dropping one of those notes out of your little passage of stepwise movement, and it just won't sound good. But in places like this, again, those first two notes where you've got a leap, so you've got a leap from a B flat to an E flat, you can alter that by, as you can see I've done at the end here, you just change the octave of the E flat. Instead of leaping up from B flat to E flat, it leaps down from B flat to the lower E flat. Again, just a really simple thing you can do, alters the melody but doesn't change it in any really fundamental way. Those are probably the main ones. Those are the main things I'd look at. And you can see numerous examples. If you look through the worked example I've done, you'll see me doing this all the time. These various different ways of changing the melody without altering it too much. Another quick thing I want to look at that relates to this. So we know that when we're composing, our melody should be, our bar 5 and 6 and our bar 13 and 14 should be essentially repetitions with alteration of bar 1 and 2. We know that, we've done that many times, we've discussed it just in this video now. I just want to highlight again the importance of repetition by showing you something else. The whole idea of repetition, the whole thing of repeating notes, isn't restricted to just these bars. So it's not like you've just got bars 5 and 6 are repeated bars 1 and 2, and so bars 13 and 14. You've actually got repetition throughout your composition, and you should have. If you look here, for example, they've got this idea where you go 4 notes going down in a step, and then you, off the beat, almost on the off beat, you jump back up to the original one and you repeat it again. So almost out of rhythm with the original idea. Again, I've repeated that idea. I've done it down here, starting on different notes, but repeating the same essential idea. So it's not in any of the bars where I've had to do my original repetition, but I've repeated that melodic idea that I got. I've also done an inversion of that idea, inversion where you go in the opposite direction. I've just changed it slightly. If you look at this part, so instead of coming down the way, I've gone up the way using the same thing, or at least a similar idea. It's not the exact same. You get things like that all the time. And that's, when you see something like that, a distinctive melodic idea used in the original 4 bars that they've given you, like they've done here. I mean, this is really distinctive because they've started on the last beat of the bar with this idea. They started on beat 4 and that's continued on to beat 1 of this bar, and then they've jumped up and they've started on again. They've repeated it beginning on beat 2. It's kind of off. It's not on the main beat of the bar. So that's a really distinctive idea. It's really something that's really distinctive about the original 4 bars they've given you. So if you can take that idea and repeat it a couple of times in your melody, it really shows you've paid attention to those original 4 bars. It really shows that you're musical enough to recognize a melodic idea that they've given you, and then take that and develop it. And that's something you should do throughout. You don't just have to do it in bars 1 and 2. You can take those melodic ideas and use them within the framework of your modulations and your cadences and your sequences. You can still use those ideas just in places that it's not prescribed that you have to develop ideas like in bars 5 and 6. You can use them in other places as well. Okay, I hope that's been helpful to you, and good luck.